All righty. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming and joining us. This meeting will be streamed live on the Rio Blanco County YouTube channel, and I would like to call it to order at 9:01. If we could do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. All right. So I do want to make one quick clarification. So we have general public comment that we will do here in just a minute after I read this. We also have on the agenda the hearing regarding removing term limits on elected officials after we get through just our consent agenda. So if you're commenting on anything other than that, you're welcome to comment either time, but if you're focused on the term limits, if you want to wait till the public hearing, that would be recommended. So, yes, ma'am.
And if you're here for public hearing and you're going to be here, if you would please log or sign in, but sign up sheet right by the door.
And in fact, we need everyone here to sign that. So if you want to pass it around, we need to have that signed. So thank you, Chrissy.
You're welcome.
All righty. So, any member of the public may address the board on matters which are within the jurisdiction of the board. We request that you limit your comments to 3 minutes per person or 5 minutes per group. The public comment time is your opportunity for you to express your views and is not for questions and answers. No comments or questions shall be directed to staff or other members of the public. If any member of the public would like to comment at this time, please state your name and who you represent. And we would take that public comment. Again, you're welcome on the term limits now, but I guess we would start with anything other than term limits. Anybody in the room other than term limits? Okay, not seeing any in the room. Is there anyone online for public comment other than term limits? Okay, I do not see any. So with that, we'll move on to 1C. The final tentative agenda was posted at the Rio Blanco County Courthouse at 555 Main Street in Meeker and Rangeley Town Hall, 209 East Main Street in Rangeley last Friday. The final agenda is provided for informational purposes only. All times are approximate. Agenda items are normally considered in the order they appear on the agenda. However, due to the size of the agenda, the board may alter the order of the agenda, take breaks during the meeting, work through the noon hour, and even continue an item for a future meeting date. The board, while in session, may consider other items that are brought before it. Scheduled items may be continued if the board is unable to complete the agenda as scheduled. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the agenda as written April 28, 2026.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as written. Would you mind calling the roll, please?
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
O'Hare.
Aye.
All righty. Thank you very much. And so moving on to the consent, we would go to consent number 1.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the below listed items of the consent agenda, which include payroll management report for April 10th, 2026, payroll management report for April 24th, 2026, meeting minutes for March 10th, 2026, meeting minutes for March 24th, 2026, special meeting minutes for March 27th, 2026, Special meeting minutes for March 31st, 2026. Special meeting minutes for April 13th, 2026. Meeting minutes for April 14th, 2026. A ratification of a letter of support for the Sheriff's Office Port Security Fund grant application. A service agreement with GMCO LLC for the 2026 RBC chip seal project. And the ratification of a letter of support for Matrix Oil Corporation Sheridan 11-2 variance docket 2207-00196 to ECMC regarding objection to denial of recommendations.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Have a motion and a second to approve the list of consent agenda items. If you would call roll, please.
O'Hairn.
Aye.
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
All right. So moving on to our public hearing. I would entertain a motion to go into public hearing. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, I apologize. You have it listed on the agenda that the public hearing will start at 9:15, so you cannot start it earlier than 9:15, but you could go on to your other business if you so choose. Thank you.
If someone will watch for when it comes to 9:15. This would move on to business line item 1. Actually, that one's going to take some time. Is there any one of these 3 that could be quick?
Number 3.
I don't think anybody's here from the hospital, so there's no
No.
changes, right?
I'm not, no. I
Were you
didn't
aware
have
that
any.
there would be anybody coming at all?
No,
Okay.
I think
All right.
we're good there.
So based on time schedule, and if we could move to business line item 3.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve an agreement between the Board of County Commissioners of Rio Blanco County, Colorado, and the Eastern Rio Blanco County Health Service District, DBA, Pioneers Medical Center concerning the operation of the Senior Citizens Transportation Service known as the Meeker Streaker.
A second.
Thank you. Have a motion and a second on the table. Any discussion?
For those of you that don't know, this is an agreement that we have with the Pioneers Hospital to they provide the manpower and we provide the bus to shuffle around the old people in Meeker and deliver the Meals on Wheels for elderly people, excuse me.
As well as appointments out of town,
Yes,
medical
Okay,
appointments.
Doug, we understood. That's all people.
Okay, all righty. So with that being said, any additional thoughts or ideas?
No.
Okay. I would ask for a roll call, please.
O'Hairn.
Aye.
Overton.
aye.
Scritchfield.
All righty, so we have that one taken care of. Like I say, the other 2 are gonna take some time, so we might just give ourselves a few minutes here so that we can start the public hearing at 9:15. We have about 5 minutes. Let's see, can we just do recess? Without a motion? Rose, can we
Madam
just-
Chair, you can't recess without a motion, but you could go on to some of your other business if you wanted to start maybe some of your legislation conversation or county commissioner updates, or if you wanted to recess, you would just do a motion to recess until 9:15, whichever the board prefers.
I'll make a motion to recess until 9:15.
A second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to recess. Would you please call the roll?
Overton.
Aye.
O'Hairn.
Aye.
Scritchfield.
Okay. Okay. I would entertain a motion to come back into our meeting.
Madam Chair, I move to resuming our Board of County Commissioner meeting at 9:16.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to resume the meeting. Would you please call the roll?
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
O'Hare.
Aye.
Okay. Now, I believe we can move into our public hearing. So I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we open the public hearing on term limits.
And I second.
We have a motion and a second to open the public hearing on term limits for elected officials. Could we do the roll, please?
Overton.
Aye.
Scritchfield.
Aye.
O'Hare.
All righty. So we will ask anyone to come up who would like to. Each person could come up in the chair at the end. And again, we'll stick with the 3 minutes per person, and like to hear your thoughts on the opening of removing the term limits on elected officials.
All right.
So your name and your organization or who you're representing.
My name is Sam Tolley. I'm representing myself, Sam Tolley. And with regard to term limits, I used to kind of be on the other side of the fence. I thought term limits were a good deal. But when we look at a county, especially the size of Rio Blanco, where we got roughly 6,000 residents, and when we term limit these offices, it makes it hard to get good candidates that want to run. So I think the intent may be good, but the outcome, I think, is adverse to what's best for the county, especially Rio Blanco and the citizens and also the workers. If you're 40 years old and you're at the top of your game and you can go get a job, whatever that job is, and you're limited to 2 terms, 8 years, when you get out of that job, you're 48 years old and now you're looking for a new job. And so you're not going to get the best and brightest people, in my opinion, to run for these offices as long as we have term limits on them. And while we can say some of ours are not term limited, and they say, well, they're professional, but most of the people that work in the county, they're professional, whether they have a degree or a certification or not. And some of them do actually have to have certifications. I don't think we've recognized that in the past as well. Well, that's something to consider, and the public needs to consider that. But like I say, when you're looking at a county this size, we don't have that many applicants or that many people that are qualified to do these jobs. And so if you're asking somebody to do that job for 8 years, and like say, or if they're 35 years old and they come out after 8 years, they're 43, they're still looking for a new job and a new career. So they're not gonna quit a job, or they've got a job or a good career to go into public service with knowing that in 8 years they're going to be out looking for another job. Well, I think we need to really look at it. And we have term limits every election. So if you don't like the job they're doing, just like you guys, if we don't like the job they're doing, then find a candidate and run somebody against you. But I don't think just mandatory term limits. I think while the intent may have been good at one time, I don't think it's best serves the county and the people of the county of Rio Blanco. So I would say that we put it on the ballot and try to do away with all term limits. Like say we have an election every 2 years, every 4 years. Those are our term limits. We don't like the job they're doing and we vote them out. That's pretty much all we got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All righty. Next, please.
My name is Frank Hewitt, and I represent myself. And I agree with Sam 100%. I've always been a proponent of term limits, and I still am when it gets above the county level. When it comes to state level or federal government, I think, like Sam said, we've got plenty of qualified candidates who can run. But at a local level, I've seen that when I was in town government, where we couldn't get people to run for county or town council. And we saw that with Renee retiring here. So I would like to see term limits for county positions done away with. I guess, I know I'm not supposed to ask questions, but what is the procedure? Does that go to the vote of the people, or do you guys determine that, or what?
We'll address that at the end of
Okay.
this conversation.
Okay. I guess that's pretty much all I gotta say, but I am for getting rid of term limits for county positions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Roger Poley, representing myself. I get off into the weeds if I just start talking from the hip, so I thought I would write some stuff down. Good morning. I understand the practicalities of eliminating the needs for term limits for elected officials that perform duties for offices like assessor and treasurer, as their positions are more of a detailed task job than a political position. But the commissioners are a totally different animal. Several counties in Colorado have eliminated elections for many positions, but still kept them for commissioners. Personally, I'd be up for elections for all county positions, but that's probably taking it a little too far in the other direction. Elected political officials are meant to serve, not to hold power indefinitely. Term limits help ensure that principle stays real, not just something we say. Over time, even good leaders can become entrenched. Systems form around them, and priorities can shift from serving the public to maintaining position and influence. Term limits breaks that cycle. They create regular opportunities for new leadership, new ideas, and people who are more closely connected to the challenges of today. Because the truth is, the world changes quickly. Our leadership should reflect that reality. Now, some argue that term limits mean losing valuable experience. And experience does matter, but it should strengthen institutions, not make us dependent on individuals staying in power for decades. A healthy system balances experience with renewal. Term limits also make it harder for power to become concentrated, whether through political influence, long-standing relationships, or behind-the-scenes control. They help level the playing field and open the door to broader participation. Many people today feel disconnected from government. They feel like it's no longer represents them. Term limits won't fix everything, but they send a clear message. No one holds power forever, and accountability is real. So the question is simple. Do we want a system where power can be held indefinitely, or one that encourages fairness and real representation? Term limits are not about punishing leaders. Please do not vote yourself into a job. No one trusts a politician as it is, and a decision to eliminate term limits for the commissioners will further erode that little confidence there already is in the political class here in Rio Blanco County. But I fully agree with getting rid of the term limits for all positions other than county commissioner. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Melissa Dubowski, and I represent the next town. I agree with everybody. I have been approached by people on both ends of the county to run for assessor, but I have a big hang up with doing it because of the term limits. I'm in a very good job right now, and to walk away from it and not knowing if I'll have a job. I mean, everybody is replaceable, and I might not have a job tomorrow anyways. But it's just, that's the big hang up. I think that I would agree 100% with Roger. County clerk, assessor, and treasurer definitely need to be no term limits, and then commissioners for sure need term limits. Now, lengthen out the term limits, maybe give them more than 8 years. But because it's hard to get something done in 8 years in government. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Do you have anyone online who would like to make comments on the removing term limits of elected officials? Not seeing or hearing any.
Like 3 minutes.
You were very close.
I had one other comment. I already addressed what.
Okay,
Melissa
so
Parker-
Sam, if you'd come back up, I give you 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
That's all you had left.
You can have the rest of my time.
Okay, so your name again for
My
the
name
record.
is Sam Tall. I represent myself, but so we talk about term limits for county commissioners. So we were needing a county commissioner because we know Doug is not going to rerun. I talked to probably 50 people in this county talking to them about getting to run for county commissioner, and nobody was interested. The county commissioner job in Rio Blanco County is real narrow scope. You've got to have somebody that, number one, wants to do the job. You got to have somebody, number two, that has the time and commitment to do that job. So it's usually what has been our deal is either somebody who's a business owner that's retired, or he's in retired, or he's got somebody can take over his business so he can step away from that, because it's a full-time job. You got to know that. So when we're talking about term limits for county commissioners, I don't know what the longest one in Rio Blanco County is. I don't know if anybody served over 12 years, at least in my lifetime. I think most of them have been 2 terms, and usually you're burned out. You guys know that. But just trying to get qualified candidates for county commissioner is really, really tough. And I mean, and it's tough. We've got 2 people run for county commissioner now, bless their hearts, but it's a big commitment. And it's just like we're talking about the other ones. There's a real small group of people that can do that job and have the ability to run that job, whether it's financially or a place in their life where they can do that. So that's just a real quick comment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's the shortest speech you ever did.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments? So with that being said, we would like I'd entertain a motion to close the comment period. Rose, I'm going to ask a quick question before we do that. Are you on?
I am here.
So I would like to make a couple of notes. Do I need to do that before we close the hearing or after?
So you're just closing the public comment part, and then you all can open it up for discussion. You're not taking any action today, but you can all open it up for discussion at that point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I would entertain a motion to close the public comment period of the hearing.
Madam Chair, I move to close public comment for the public hearing on removing term limits on elected officials.
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second to close the public hearing, or I'm sorry, the public comment for the hearing. Would you please call the roll?
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
O'Hare.
Aye.
All righty. So to answer a few of the questions that we've heard through comments as well as otherwise, I did have Sean go back and look at the commissioners' terms that have been held. She went back as far as 2010. So right there, 2008 to 2012, Ken Parsons was still a commissioner, but we didn't go back any further to see how long he had been. And 2010 was the end of Joe Collins's terms. So I'm sorry, 2012 would have been. So since that time, Sean Bolton was the only one who has even had 2 terms, and he did have 2 terms. We've had a couple of partials in there, but nobody had more. He's the only one who had 2 full terms since 2010. So that's as far back as we went, just so we have the data. We know what we're talking about there. So other than that, so a process, there was another question. So we are doing hearing here in Rangeley. We will do a hearing in Meeker on the 5th of May during our regular meeting there. And then at that time, the commissioners can either choose to make a decision at that meeting or they could delay it. I think it's not until midsummer before we have to determine if we would want to put that on the ballot for the public to decide. It's not the commissioners will decide. It's our decision is whether we will put it on the ballot or not, and how we would put it on the ballot, whether it's by position or as a blanket. So that's to be determined. No decisions here today or during the public hearing next time. So that is just the process that needs to go through. So anything else, commissioners, that you would like to add?
I kind of started this deal down this road, and my intention was not to personal or for the commissioners. My intention was to get longer terms for the other elected positions so that we could encourage younger people to take on this position without hesitation. But I think that it should be up to the vote of the people. And I think that each position should be up to the vote of the people. And so that's where I stand is I hope that we can get it on the ballot where you can check off each position that you feel strongly one way or the other, and we'll let the people decide. But I think that's where we're headed, is let the citizens of Rio Blanco County decide where we're headed.
Sorry, our public comment. Okay, we can't take any more public comment at this time. Sorry.
I can't ask.
During the hearing. I don't believe so. Sorry. Okay, anything else?
No, I agree with that. Take it to the people and let them decide.
All righty. So we put, do we need a motion to close the hearing period, or we did that through the public comment, Rose?
Yeah, if you all are finished with your discussion, since you're not taking any action today, I would just do a motion to close the public hearing to make sure we close that out. And then move on. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to close the public hearing on term limits.
A second.
Okay, a motion and a second to close the public hearing. If we could take a vote, please.
Richfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
O'Hairn. Aye.
Word of day.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thank you all. Really appreciate everyone's time to come and visit. Okay. So I would like to move on to the discussion, business line item 1, discussion for bid award for the fairgrounds property assessment. And Mr. Eric is here. Appreciate it. Come on up, sir.
Yeah, so it's a slight, this is meant to be for the fairgrounds facility improvement. We did the assessment on the Fairfield.
Okay, so I'm sorry, it was fairgrounds. Tell me.
This is the fairgrounds facility improvement RFP.
Mine says property assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Does it say
Oh,
property
mine
assessment?
says fairgrounds property assessment.
Yeah,
that's
me
me
too.
fairgrounds. Yeah.
Okay.
So you should have been facility improvement, not assessment.
Yes. Fairgrounds facility.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we get that for, if we do a motion, we need to have that right.
Yeah, so we
Thank you.
did the Fairfield assessment and the fairgrounds improvement.
Yes, thank you.
So I'll just review what we submitted out. So the intent of the project is to address some of the issues out at the fairgrounds facility, primarily the restroom facilities in the, what I would call the main building for the fairgrounds. That's the structure that houses the indoor arena, and then the front offices for the fairgrounds facility. They're in dire need of improvements and an expansion for the events that go on at the fairgrounds. During that, we addressed that there's some other items that we would like to improve at the fairgrounds, one being ADA compliance. There is a desire to come up with a better ADA accessibility at the main grandstands that allows anyone that needs ADA accessibility to sit within the normal grandstand area, other than currently the option is baking out in the sun on the other side of the track from one's family. Given the complexity of the job, I wrote an RFP, so we have the base services that are being requested from the proposal for architectural services and engineering services for this project. And then we have some optional services that were requested for them to provide fee and and of course, how they would approach those services. And so I'll just go through the list, kind of the breakout of it.
Okay, Eric, just real quickly, so just the restroom and the ADA compliance, is that all that there was? Did I miss?
No, so I also placed in there some optional services that
Okay,
we.
so that's what you're talking about, the
Yeah.
optional services.
The
Okay,
optional
thank you.
services would be helping us define a scope and design elements for addressing the roof for the main arena and the offices. The building was built, I believe, we determined in the 60s, 70s time period. There's been a number of attempts to remedy the leaks that happen in the building. So it started out as just a regular steel building with kind of like a pro panel style roofing and added insulation. And then I believe in 2011, we had quite a bit of leaks. So then we did a sill coat over the top of it to help that. That is now kind of deteriorating away because it's been, going on 15, 16 years since that. And so in that optional was to come up with some ideas. There's a couple different ideas that I've thrown out where we can do a complete reskin and cover and do new metal and roofing. There's other options to do membrane covering. Of course, it helps for us to find those design and scope services to be able to bid those out. However, they're not 100% necessary. We can draft that depending on fees and services, and that's why they were considered in there as optional pricing.
Okay.
With the primary focus being the restrooms facility and ADA compliance.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
There is a structure to architectural and engineering with the process and projects. So we laid that out in that process. When you hire soft costs like this with architectural and engineering, they generally start with what's called a schematic design. That's a high level design of here's what we think can fit in the space. Here's how we think this is going to work. The next phase is design development. And then of course, then you have the construction documents. And that's the point where everybody's agreed on. And now you have a full set of drawings that you can send to a contractor and get a hard money bid in it. So that's part of the requested scope for this proposal. We put that out on the street, or proposed it on February 20th, and then we had our proposal opening on April 3rd, and then we've reviewed those awards, those proposals. We received 6 submissions. Our one was from Superior Roofing and Architectural Metals that did not meet the criteria of the RFP. I think they were just putting their name in as a potential contractor or consultant services for it. So that left us with 5 proposers, which are all architectural services. That would be Karin Designs LLC, Civic Forum Associates Inc., Rosenfeld Design, and SEH, Vortex Engineering Inc.
Vortex?
Vortex, VORTEX, Vortex Engineering. I did an assessment. A couple of us reviewed it. The consensus is that the leaders were both SEH and Civic Forum Associates as a review of their proposals. Now, one of the things to cover in this is we did this as a 2-envelope proposal, meaning which they submit their first submission is just the proposal, their qualifications, their team, how they want to approach the project. And that the team also includes their engineers and their resumes and that type of stuff. And and then of course their second envelope is the fee. And this is done so that it's not in context of the lowest bidder. It's more based on what is the best view on the project and who do we feel is the best design that have captured what we want to achieve, and that's the difference between what you would issue a proposal request for proposal for versus what you would do issue an invitation for bid, where invitation for bid is generally accepted as lowest bidder. And you normally have some pretty hard defined lines and quantities that are included in those bids versus a proposal where it's more selected on the design team and their experiences and what they can bring to the project. With that being said, with Civic Forum Associates and SEH being the top, I opened up their 2 fee documents. Just open this up.
So you got this in 2 different things, excuse me, Eric, you got their qualifications and what they are suggesting, and then you put those in order, and now you're gonna go over and see what the bids are for those 2 people. But you didn't
Yeah,
know
so
that
we-
at the beginning.
Yeah, we had no idea what the fee was. It's locked in a different portion of the bid application or the bid program. And then once we select those 2, we open those 2 up, and their scoring was very close. Civic Forum Associates, if you're not aware, they have done other projects with the county. They were the lead engineering firm for the Columbine Park and Arena design. They've done a few other smaller projects for us here and there. The White River School remodel, they were ahead of that one. And then SEH, so they were like within a few points of, they were right there at the top, give or take. Civic Forum Associates Inc., their base bid price was $30,000. And SEH, their base bid price was $53,900. Now, they both were provided the pricing for the options. And so for the additional scope that we asked with the roof and some of the other architectural services and some of the ADA mechanical, for the optional services, Civic Forum Associates gave us a price of $10,500. I am going to, I believe I've added this up, but SEH has given us optional price, I believe, of $45,000 for the additional options. So definitely, when factoring in the fee, and then of course, the experience, the proposal, Civic Forum Associates is the highest ranked. They would be clearly with the fee, and then of course additional options are much lower than SEH. I guess the questions would be opening up to the board on any, do you have any questions on these proposals, decisions on it?
I would ask you your recommendations.
Okay, so before I give that, I want to disclose, so I attend the Catholic Church there in Meeker, the Holy Family Catholic Church. And Jody, who is the owner of Civic Forum Associates, has helped us with projects on that church. I have not managed any of his contracts or any of his work with it. But the church has requested that I help them with some of their future projects. And so I have that relationship outside of the county with Civic Forum. That in no way has weighted my scoring or any of that. Based on fee and based on comprehensive proposal, I would recommend Civic Forum, but please take into account that disclosure.
I appreciate your
Yes.
honesty in disclosing that.
Yes.
And, yeah. Thank you.
Agreed. The only question, so have we had, I mean, I totally makes sense to go that route. Just checking, has SEH done any work for us in the past?
No, and I think that that the good thing to bring in the picture is SEH is a large engineering firm. They're all over the country. They have offices all over. They have a lot of resources. Civic Forum is a small shop. It's a, you know,
We're due based.
Jody's now lives in who owns Civic Forum Associates, lives in Boulder. He's resided, sometimes he has houses here on the western slope, sometimes he's on the Front Range. I think he kind of builds them and then moves into them and then sells them. And so he's done a lot of work here. Yeah, he's done a lot of work here on the western slope. Their engineering, Civic Forum's engineering partner is Bighorn Engineering, which is out of Grand Junction. I usually utilize Bighorn Engineering on when I need strictly mechanical and electrical engineering services. They have worked on a number of projects, including the historic courthouse in Meeker. They've done they've helped assist with some of the work on the Field Farm project. And they've helped us with some of our smaller mechanical projects like the Fairfield remodel and they also, I think, worked on the Public Health and Department of Human Service building here. SEH has their own engineering people. So
I did have the opportunity to go through each one of these pretty in depth.
I noticed.
And I
Well,
have
thank you
notes.
for doing that.
And so SEH was one of my, not SEH, Civic Forum was one of my top ones. And I even downplayed a little bit of my scoring with them. Because at the beginning, they were my highest. And I went back and tweaked a little here and there by my notes. So one of the things that I really liked about Civic Forum is that I noted ADA deficiency, that they have a strong understanding about that ADA compliance that we need to have with those grandstands was a comment that I made in my notes. So just wanted to point that out. And they also have that restroom capacity experience too, which I don't remember seeing that with SEHs as much as I did with theirs. So cool.
And that was true with both yours and Vicky's on that scoring on that, because I went through and did my scoring and then I went through and reviewed yours and you guys both had Civic really high on your list when averaging those out. And it was the same thing. It felt like SEH definitely is a one-stop shop. They're definitely a very adequate firm to do the project. I just think that Civic Forum took a little more time to understand the project. And of course, is a lot more familiar with the county, our facilities, how we operate. And then same with Bighorn. They're very familiar. Typically, when we run into a spot where we need electrical or mechanical engineering, they're very adequate. They're very, I don't know the term, but accommodating to understand the project and helping us out in the capacity that we need. And so they have a good understanding also. I think that also strengthens Civic Forum's understanding of what's going on over there.
I think we're fortunate that the top one in performance is also the lowest bid.
Yeah, really.
It makes it easy.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, we were fortunate also in the fact that we got 5 very comprehensive proposals, which is sometimes rare, especially where we're at and the size of project that we were dealing with. Usually you have to have much larger projects to bring in that kind of competition. So
Yeah. Cool. Okay, and as I understand it, they're just gonna be giving us the recommendations of specifically what needs to be done, and then we would have to go back out to bid for the job.
So they're gonna complete the design documents of our project, and that's gonna say this is what that contractor is going to do. And then we will send those out to bid to the contractors, and then from those design documents, because that gives us the materials we need for permitting. It gives us the materials we need for quantifying quantities for the bid so that we can truth that. And then, of course, that gives us those exhibits for the contractual contracts with the contractor so that we make sure that they're doing what is expected from the project.
So for the public, I want to explain how we got to this situation. We started with some bathrooms at the fairgrounds that have been inadequate for several years. Every year when we have the fair, the plumbing gets plugged up and we have a mess. And so we decided to do something with that. And as we got into it, we didn't want to throw good money after bad. And so instead of just fixing an old problem, we wanted to make some nice bathrooms. And the more we got into it, there's all kinds of stuff that needed done at the fairgrounds. So we wanted to make sure that we were spending the money, taxpayers' money, correctly in the most efficient way we could. So that's how we got to this spot.
And I will say, just this weekend, I was asked, why are those bathrooms still closed? Or, got all those. I said, we're working on it. We'll be there soon. So it was kind of fun to be able to say, we're there. We're real close. So, all righty. Any other questions of Eric or discussion? All righty. I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to award Civic Forum Associates for the Fairgrounds Facility Improvement.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to award the bid to Civic, what's the name of it?
Forum.
Forum. Okay. I would ask for a roll call. Overton,
Aye.
Richfield,
O'Hare.
aye. All righty. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Eric. Good discussion. And excited to see it moving forward. I would just ask, what kind of timeline do you feel like we would be able to get started on the work?
We're gonna be pushing for construction starting in third and fourth quarter of this year. We don't want to start it during fair or any of that work. And so then we're actually with the fairgrounds, that's a facility where we want to do the project during the off season, which is winter time. So I'd like to hopefully have design documents done and ready to go out in the street by third quarter, and then get a contractor in place to get moving on that in the fourth quarter.
Okay. All right. One more year without those bathrooms, but we do it right is important. So, thank you. Okay, moving on to business item 2, in regards to airport improvement program. Do we want a motion on that one? Or do you want discussion first?
I'm okay with making a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to award, let's see. Oh, I make a motion to transfer for the transfer of entitlements, transferring $109,000 of fiscal year 2026 federal funds from Meeker Coulter Field Airport to the Rangeley Airport.
I second.
All righty. We have a motion and a second to transfer the entitlements of 109,000. And so, discussion. Eric, you want to give us kind of an overview?
Okay, so if I lose any of you, I apologize. But so we are one of the 3 airport sponsors in the state of Colorado that have 2 airports. We get entitlement funding each year at both of our airports. So we have what's AIP, and that is entitlements that come from the FAA for us to bank up for projects that we need to do at the airports. And so this is grant funding from the FAA to do capital improvement projects. The difference between the AIP and the AIG funding is that the AIP is a standard FAA entitlement funding or capital improvement projects, referred to as CIPs. The AIG was funding, it was also entitlement funding, but it was sourced from the bill funding, which was the infrastructure bill that was signed, I believe, under Joe Biden's administration for expanding infrastructure. And so for a number of years, funding was allocated towards airports, and that's the bucket that we got. Essentially, both of these buckets, we get two of these buckets at each one of our airports, and they amount to in the range of 100,000 to 150,000 per bucket for each airport. So for a while, we were receiving about 300,000 at Rangeley and 300,000 at Meeker. Now, because we have two airports, we're allowed to transfer those buckets from one airport to the other to achieve projects. So we've done this transfer in 2021 when we did a big grading wildlife fence project at the Rangeley Airport. And then we turned around and did the same transferring for the GA ramp project. We've also had a number of other projects we've done at the airports, like pavement maintenance and marking and different smaller projects that did not require the transfers, that we just utilized the AIP funding. The way this program works with the FAA and CDOT Aeronautics is annually we submit a 10, 15-year forecast of these capital improvement projects that we want to achieve at our airports. And then that is the forecasting where we're going to spend these entitlements. And what happens at the FAA and CDOT level is they review those projects. We provide engineered cost assessments for each one of those projects. And we show in that assessment where we're going to put those entitlements. Of course, sometimes those projects are estimated above what the entitlements are budgeted as, and those are shown in that plan as a delta, and everybody essentially knows, the county knows, FAA knows, CDOT knows that funding is going to have to come from somewhere once those projects come in. CDOT and FAA, their policy is to lock us in for 2 years. So when we submit this next year, when we submit our plans for 2027 and 2028, those years are locked in, just given the amount of effort that goes into planning the projects, finding the funding, because they have their own buckets. They have to figure this out. This year, we are doing this transfer of AIP, and we will have a later AIG transfer funding from the Meeker Airport to the Rangeley Airport to assist in funding the master planning and revising of the ALP for the Meeker Airport. Originally, that project was estimated out at $500,000. We have now revised scope and brought it to $388,000 for total project value. That has been approved, and we've submitted our grant applications for that, and we'll be receiving pretty shortly our grant contracts for that project, where we will get moving on. Hope I didn't lose anyone with the acronyms.
So you have missed it, but I don't think so. What projects are we doing in Rangeley that you're going to use this money for?
This money is for the master planning project.
For the master planning?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And that master planning is going to be like 500.
It started out as 500K. We went through, the FAA advised us, because there were some services in the master planning with GIS and surveying that we'd already have really good data from doing our grading and wildlife fence project at the airport, which was within 5 years.
Yeah.
And then we have another project of a potential taxiway rehab it's in the future that we'd have to go back through and do that anyways. And so they're like, you have really good information now. You're going to need to revise all that for that project regardless. So there's really not a need. And so that reduced that project value by about $100,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay, so just as a reminder, so master planning, I assume, has to be done before you can take the next steps of actually doing things. Is that true?
Yeah,
Just
so,
we all understand why we're doing planning.
yeah, so during the process, so they want, the FAA and CDOT Aeronautics wants us to update our master plan and our airport layout plan every 10 years. And this is focused on the three key factors that FAA and CDOT Aeronautics focus, that their money goes to, and that's runways, taxiways, and aprons. In those, this is the time for us to establish what the future improvements that we want to do, any future build outs, any developments of hangars, all this stuff that goes into an airport. And then what they like to see is then our capital improvement plan tie to that master plan and that airport layout plan. That way everybody knows what's going on at that airport, what the future development is. That way nobody gets shocked or surprised by where we're going. And then all these things tie together from the federal and state level, and of course at the county level, of where we have our master plan. So that describes why and how of what we're doing at airports. The airport layout plan is, of course, the design that shows this is where everything's at. Here's where everything we want moved or where everything needs to be done. And then the capital improvement plan then outlines how we're distributing funding and then what those real projects look like. And
So this is the end, this is the 10th year or whatever that we need to get Rangeley engineered. When is Meeker due?
Meeker's due in another 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. And so we did ours at Rangeley in 2017. We moved it up 1 year because we have pavement, runway, taxiway, and apron maintenance projects going on next year. And we didn't have anything lined out this year at either airport. And so the FAA said, let's move that master plan up 1 year. That way you get it done. That way we can establish to the degree of the potential taxiway rehab project is the scope. And then you're also not having to do a master plan in the same year that you're doing pavement maintenance.
Just so I get it in my notes, so try to help me remember. So so next year, you noted there was, what's the project?
Next year,
Hit the
we
pavement.
have pavement maintenance going on at both airports.
Oh, both,
It's
okay.
it's better to group those together so that we get the contractors in at one time and they're able to do that and get done. And then the master plan is scheduled right now for Meeker to be in 28.
Okay. Perfect. All righty. Thank you for that info. So we have that motion and second on the table. Any other final discussion? Okay. Thank you very much, Eric. I would ask for a roll call.
Critchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
All right,
O'Hairn.
All righty. Moving on to, we have no resolutions. So we'll move on to other business. Number 1, discussion of proposed legislation. And I don't see, Reese was out sick yesterday. I don't see Reese on the call today either.
I am in fact here and I am alive.
You are alive. Glad to hear, but you don't sound awesome. I hate to tell you. So I'm glad you are back with us, sir.
Happy
So
to be. Hopefully I'll be in the office tomorrow.
Okay. All righty. We'll take care of you. Do you have anything to update us with? Like that was a question, huh?
You
I
know,
know you do.
honestly, not much has changed since our last update. You know, looking at a lot of these bills this morning, they're still waiting to get through appropriations or finance this week. Callie, you had mentioned yesterday via email that knowingly luring bears 13, it is no longer negligently luring bears, 1342. It's now knowingly. I didn't know if commissioners, you had any questions about that bill. But other than that, there is a Senate Bill 165, conservation funding bill. It essentially redirects some funding to address some endangered and concerned species. A lot of the ag groups are really just monitoring it, not very excited about it, but so far no red flags as far as that goes. I haven't really seen anything else. Things are still oddly quiet, and now we're approaching 20 days out. So I guess I'm getting more nervous than I was last time I gave you guys an update, because it's going to be really interesting to see how quickly some of these bills move or do not move. You might have seen extreme temperatures worker protections is still tied up in appropriations. I think that hearing is later this week. So I'll stop jabbering. Just essentially a lot to wait and see once these bills get out of appropriations or not.
Reese, would you like to update everybody on the CPW commission appointments?
Yeah, some great news over the weekend. Thanks for throwing that out, Callie. I had just checked my email and saw your update. We had sent a letter opposing 2 of the commission appointments, and we had signed on to other letters, and other groups had wrote their own letters. Senate Ag Committee was pretty clear in their, I would just say their concerns for 2 of the appointments. And it was nice to see stakeholder concerns from all of the sportsman groups and counties and ag groups being heard. And before it even went to the Senate floor vote for those 2 appointments, those 2 individuals resigned or withdrew their names from those appointments. So a big win late last week and over the weekend on the CPW commission.
Big wins. So yeah, thank you for that. And thank you to anybody and everybody who submitted comments on that, because they were not. And I will also say thank you very much to Senator Dylan Roberts. He grilled those guys and made it very clear. And I believe he's probably a big part of the reason it didn't move forward. So just so that everybody understands, so the Senate Ag Committee hears and makes their recommendation whether to support these governor appointments to the various commissions. And in this case, the Ag Committee, it's different committees. And even though they make a recommendation of not favorable or favorable, they go ahead and go to the Senate floor anyway. And it is really hard to kill it on the Senate floor, especially now. But for the one who has been a sitting commissioner, is very closely connected to the hardcore environmental groups. Senator Roberts made it very clear that he did not believe that he could remove himself from the activist community to make good, sound decisions. He flat said that. And then on the other one, who is the sportsman's representative, who is not a hunter,
No.
and has been known to be an anti-hunter, he told him that he was disappointed that he had been appointed for the sportsman's representative. He would have been a much better representative for the at-large, which the first one that they denied was. And it was a, 2 to 6, I don't remember how many's on the committee, but it was a heavy duty one on the first one, 2 to 6, and I think must be 7 of them, 2 to 5, and then the other one was 3 to 4, so it was closer, but enough pressure. And I believe they were not convinced they had the votes on the Senate floor, so they resigned. You have no idea how much time, energy, and work was put into that by numerous groups,
By the whole western.
the whole western slope.
Yes.
The cool thing is, and there are legislators that work to make these things happen, so they were working on the right side. Senate floor was on Wednesday. Thursday was Sportsman's Day at the Capitol, and Friday was the vote. You set those things up with intention. So they were able to get it shut down. So I'm excited about the meeting, which is is only next week, no, 2 weeks from now, for the CPW commission. Those two gentlemen will not be on the commission. So that's exciting news. I don't know what the next steps are, but leaving that, but still with the CPW commission, I received an email yesterday. A new citizen petition was submitted to the CPW commission today, proposing changes to how wildlife management decisions are made in Colorado. The petition asks the commission to adopt new procedural rules requiring that all regulations, management plans, and policies be based on best available science. Petitioners are Eric Washburn, Gary Skiba, which is the one that was appointed to the commission 2 years ago that we got the same result. He finally resigned because before it went to the Senate floor, because there was so much opposition to him. Charles Seymour and David Neals, I don't know them. When Gary Skiba's name is on it, it tells me it's not what we need. But another petition, so the third one that is now proposed to the commission. Reese, make sure I'm right, but first one is, or one of them is to reduce the compensation for wolf depredations, saying that you must implement non-lethal management. And if you don't get paid. And I think it may be even, I don't know if it's reducing the total amount. And the second one, help me remember what it is.
My understanding is the petition is to require the implementation and use of all non-lethal tools before being eligible.
Yes.
Yes.
And then
No,
yeah.
I might need to go back and read these actually, because the other one is tied to lethal take, and that might be where the non-lethal tools are directly tied to lethal take. I need to re-up on those. Let me look into them.
It just makes it very, very difficult to lethally take a wolf, even CPW to lethally take the wolf.
Correct. And then I think you're right, separate from reduced compensation.
Those are separate.
Yep.
So those commissioners are critical that we have good representation on there, because that's the kind of stuff that's coming to them. And those 11 members get to make those decisions. So they're critical. Okay, enough on the CPW commission, other than please be sure to go to Grand Junction for that commission meeting on the 6th and or 7th. And the 6th, the evening of the 6th is the event in the evening, and the county sponsored a portion of it. Two things, Commissioner Marie Marie Haskett, who served a number of years on the commission, very well representing our interests. They will recognize her there for her retirement because she chose not to have it done at the commission meeting.
Who lives in Meeker.
He lives in Meeker. So anybody that can go down, I haven't seen the agenda. Apparently you did. I need to look at that. And please, please, please show up just in numbers.
Yes, Dan Gates recommended that if you are only going to go one day, that it be the second day, because that's when they're taking an hour and a half of testimony.
Okay.
And we want to fill every bit of that hour and a half up.
Yes.
And the get together is Wednesday night, which is important. So if you can go just one day, try and go on the 7th.
Will you all be?
I will be there both days is my plan.
The 6th, not the 7th.
Alrighty. What else, ma'am?
So we finally, everybody knows that, we have been working on, when I say we, CCI, the governor's office, Children's Campaign, advocates, and the state, CDHS and HICPUF have been working on a potential bill to be introduced for restructuring of human services that has to do with, SNAP and Medicaid. And so we have been working at this for almost 3-4 weeks now, almost on a daily basis. We touch base together, talk about this bill. And so what's come out of it so far, and it was announced today that the JBC is taking on this bill, which it will move fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the weekend, they, a few county attorneys as well as CCI staff and some CHSDA people, directors, got together to really hone in on what the language is going to look like. It still hasn't been introduced yet, but the high points are fraud. That is one thing that's going to get turned over to the state, but go out for RFP to a county if the county wants to take it over. That was our sticking point in the language in that, because currently the way that it's written in statute is that counties are responsible for the fraud, and our timeline of having the state take over the fraud is not going to be till 2028. So they really had to break that down. I know that they had reached out to me and asked if Rose was available. I don't know if they ever called her over the weekend, but I reached out to Rose, asked her if she would be available if they got stuck on that language. And Rose immediately said that she would be available. So I don't know if they called her or not. And then the other piece to it is what they are calling the Joint Alignment Committee. It previously was the Joint Allocation Committee, and we are changing it to alignment because the Children's Campaign really feels like the state works in silos. And so they want this committee to be formed to break those silos and make the state's departments start talking to each other and not living within those silos. Because they'll send a memo out, just for example, they'll send a memo out on Medicaid and how you might approve that, and then send a whole different memo that might contradict that approval that's over here in TANF. And so sometimes those two different areas don't speak to each other, and then it makes our technicians have to dig deep and try to figure out how they're going to approve somebody. And so it costs our staff time and energy in trying to figure that out when the state is not talking to each other. The third piece to this is we are going to have a third-party facilitator to help with that restructuring. And so it's going to be somebody outside of the state, because the state, if you guys remember, the weekend before Thanksgiving break, right before Thanksgiving break, we were told that by July of 2026, we would all be in different, what they were calling regionalization of our different counties within a cohort, what we are calling a cohort now, working together. And so with that third-party facilitator, they will be analyzing data, real-time data, not 6 months ago data, which is what the state sometimes runs off, even a year data. We want real-time data so that we know what we're dealing with, especially when it comes to our error rates, which HR1 kind of has created this. Because of our error rates, we will be fiscally sanctioned, and it will cost the county money if we don't get our error rates under control. And so that's part of this analyzing the data. He's going to be looking at fiscal modeling, what that's going to look like, especially because we are going to have some sanctions because our error rates are still not down like they should be across the state. And mind you, They're not looking at it county by county. The federal government is. They are looking at it as an average of the whole state. So one county, Denver County, I think it's Denver, if I remember correctly, has a pretty high error rate. So they bring, so let's say Rio Blanco, we have a 0% error rate, but they have a high. We still have to take whatever their error rate, well, whatever the average is across the state is what the federal government is looking at. And then we also are looking for any other future improvements, which will be part of that joint alignment committee conversation. And then also the cohorts and what the cohorts are going to look like. So that hasn't been defined either. There will be at least 12 cohorts, no more than 12 cohorts. And that has not been defined. So Rio Blanco could be with another small county across the state for all we know, because we haven't defined that and what that's going to look like for us. What makes the most sense for each of those counties in those cohorts. I know that Rio Blanco has already been working with more of the Western Slope counties. I know I meet with those directors at least once a month to go over, just to hear their frustrations with all of these negotiations that have been going on. So that's my big news today. We'll see where it goes, and if there's anybody on this negotiation team that either, I don't want to say stabs us in the back. I'm a little bit nervous because, you know, the state will say one thing and then do another. And one of the things that we asked of them, CCI asked, is that they give us a gentleman's handshake, and not when we walk into the JBC hearing and we go to our corners and we're fighting for what we want in the language. So they agreed to it. We'll see if it happens. I'm praying that it happens. That's all I can say. So that is where we're at in human services world.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And thanks for all of your work on that, because that's crazy. That's all I'll say. So the question that I have is, again, because we were kept being worried how much that was going to cost the county. But right now, is there any indication? And I know the state's fiscal year ends in June. So is there still potential? How strong a potential for some funding to have to fall to the county more than what we've had to pay in the past?
We still don't have numbers. At the end of the day, it will. No matter how, I mean, and I believe it starts in 27 is when those sanctions start. We did get a waiver because it was already supposed, those sanctions were already supposed to start happening, but we were able to get a waiver to hold off on that until we could come up with more data for the federal government.
Okay. But potentially,
but they don't have those numbers.
Right. So we're thinking before the end of the calendar year or afterwards.
My understanding is afterwards.
Okay. So you're thinking budget wise for next year. That's what we're hearing. Okay. All righty. Anything else to come to your mind on legislation or Reese? I see a hand, Mr. Reese.
Yes, I forgot one thing. My brain's not working. I did want to update you guys. The conservation districts, in partnership with CACD, are working on an amendment with the continuation of the Forest Health Council. This came from Vanessa, and I'm really glad we moved forward with this, but we pushed for an amendment in that continuation bill to provide a voting seat that is a representative from a conservation district across the state that is a board of director or a conservation district employee. Just with all the fires and all the mitigation work that is being done locally in our county, we were really excited for that amendment. If you want the full story behind it, it was a bit of a messy process getting the right language solidified, but I think finally today we got it taken care of. The House did have to go to conference committee with some Senate sponsors to get the language corrected. It changed multiple times for whatever reason, but that's neither here nor there. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that's moving forward and the language is real good and is in line with county priorities and policy. CSCB, as you might know, and some other CDA staff will actually be in Meeker next Thursday on the 7th. So just to let you know, commissioners, on the 7th, I will miss the commission meeting down in Grand Junction with CPW. I think it's really important to prioritize meeting with some of those CDA staff members, particularly the director of the conservation division, and hopefully we can talk about some of these Forest Health Council appointments and other issues. So I will be with them in person on their tour. So if there's anything you want me to talk to those individuals about with CSCB and other employees in CDA, please just let me know. But that's all I had.
Thanks, Reese. And just, so CSCB is the Colorado State Conservation Board, and they are a part of the Department of Ag, but they are the entity that provides funding down to the local conservation districts. So
Yes.
that's cool that they're going to be here. And I wish I could be here, but I better go wolf meeting. So thank you for covering that. Okay, anything else? If not, we can move on to a road and bridge update. Do we have anyone?
I think that is supposed to be emergency management.
Oh.
But unless there was someone, is there someone from Road and Bridge on?
I know
I didn't-
that Tina and Thad are out doing bridge inspections
Okay.
today. They were hoping to be here. The estimated that this would be closer to like the noon mark than 10:30. So she said that she didn't know if they would be within cell service or not.
And I don't know if we can do this or not, but I thought it was or emergency management was on, and I missed that it was not. I don't know if Rich can go ahead and just give you an update.
So Rose, do we need to do any kind of a motion or table that road and bridge update?
It's just discussion items. They're not action items. So there's nothing that I mean, if they come, great. If they don't, you don't have to. And if you want to have a discussion but no action with emergency manager, that's fine too. You're always able to have discussion items.
Awesome. Let's have a discussion item for our emergency manager, seeing as how he's sitting here.
Okay,
Come
so,
on up this way. Rich, if you wouldn't mind coming on up to the table, just to make sure that the microphone picks up your voice well.
This one works over here.
oh, don't worry.
I
I'm sure that it'll hear me just fine. So I did do a list because I've had a busy few weeks since the last time I came before the board. And first and foremost, I want to talk about the emergency operation plan. That has turned into quite the beast, needless to say. But the emergency operation plan for the county is directly tied to the hazard mitigation plan, the continuity of operations plan, and a lot of other things. And basically what it says is, in the event of an incident, this is how the county's going to operate. These are the priorities. These are the ways that we're going to fund that. We're going to direct the direction we're going to go with it, what's important, what's not, things like that. And it is a state requirement that we have this, and it had to be state approved. And that is the problem that I've run into, is working through the evaluation tool is plugging all the gaps with it. So it has taken me longer than I really thought it would have. I've rebuilt it several times. I'm on the last iteration of it. I think I'm pretty close to being done with it. So there will be changes to it at a future date when we get the hazard mitigation plan, to make sure that all of those plans are able to dovetail together nicely and there's no conflicts with that. But those will be minor revisions at best that we can take care of. As part of that plan, I'm also building an operational checklist for all the county entities that are involved in that plan. Basically, it tells them what your role is, how you're going to do that, how you are activated for that role, what your priorities are in that role, what it looks like for your recovery from that role, demobbing out, and documentation for reimbursement out of that. That is also kind of a big deal that's also required under the EOP plan. So In other news.
Rich,
we did-
if I could real quick,
You bet.
before you leave that one. So once you get that put together.
Yep.
Then does the board approve that?
So I have to fill out the evaluation tool.
Okay,
And then once I have done that, I send it off to Danielle Aguilar and she does the evaluation as well. Once I've done with it, we can, if and I'm not foreseeing any major pitfalls, present it to you guys and you guys can approve it.
okay. How big a document is that, just by chance?
Right now, I'm at 350 pages,
Oh my gosh,
but
you're
I
200 bucks.
am actually, I have streamlined that down. I'm trying to reduce the base plan
Yeah.
down to, I think it's right around 75 pages. And then the rest of it will be additions and appendixes. And basically, those are checklists. They are documents like you would hand a HHS. This is in event of this. This is how you're activated. This is what your priorities are. Those are action things. They're not just additions on the plan. The plan says this is what we'll do. The additions are like, this is how we do it. This is how we put this together. This is what your role is. This is the things you're responsible for. So
Then how do we roll that out so everybody is prepared for that, for their roles?
So it has a distribution list on there, which will make sure that those go out. But what I plan on doing, and it works out nicely, I have a training scheduled with Road and Bridge on the 18th of May. This was a training that was supposed to happen a couple weeks ago. It fell completely apart. So I stepped up and volunteered to reconstitute that training, send out all the invites. We have major portions of that, but basically in that training, Road and Bridge will be advised of in their incident roles, things that they do, things they're responsible for, who they answer to, how they're activated, what their roles and responsibilities are, what their guidelines are, how they document everything for reimbursement. And that's all part of that emergency response plan. So I will do the same thing with other entities as well.
And you're talking specifically fires or emergencies in general?
Right. This one on the 18th is based on a fire, but the same nuts and bolts are for any type of emergency incident, whether it be a hazmat incident, we have to call Road and Bridge out to, say a blizzard event, anything. So anything that the county would go into an emergency operations mode and the emergency operations center would be activated for that, all that stuff would be constituted in that. There are fire specific portions of the emergency response plan or emergency operations plan. But under like for Road and Bridge, Health and Human Services, Public Health, all of those, Finance Department, those things are basically, they cover any emergency incident that we would have to activate them.
So just real quickly, in thinking about kind of the roles and where they were last time, agriculture was kind of fit in there, as I recall, kind of, I don't remember how it
Right.
was.
So for emergency operations plan, agriculture and livestock are part of that.
Right.
And they talk about the county's role with that as part of that, which I have on here as well. I'm still trying to get this CART training set up from CSU. Trying to coordinate it now. We may do a coordinated training with Moffat County. Make sure we have a lot of folks there for that. And that's basically the community animal rescue team stuff. And those would be people in the county that not necessarily county employees that would assist with animal evac and placement.
And I think that I helped you get, or I think you got connected with like Neil Brennan, who is currently the chair of the cattlemen's, just so we have whatever the plan is there, we need to be sure.
Yeah,
that
as soon as
they
I
get
have something
informed.
solidified, then I can.
Work with them.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to check.
Rich, the training that fell apart 2 weeks ago, was that fire training?
That was a fire training
That was with the BLM and Craig and
and Meeker Fire and that was not one that I set up. That was through Road and Bridge itself. And we got some serious wires crossed. I showed up there thinking it was just a meeting. Luke showed up there thinking it was just a meeting.
Yeah, Luke was upset. He called me about that.
Yeah, so I talked to Dad right there and I said, hey, if you want, I will I will step up and make sure that this happens. And in fact, by the next morning, I already had a training curriculum built out and sent out to everybody for approval. So
Appreciate it. That's why we hired you.
yeah, it's definitely a little more in my wheelhouse. So any more questions on that EOP stuff?
I think that's good. Sure appreciate you doing that. I'm just thinking,
This is
That's okay.
the emergency operations plan is I thought it would be easy like the continuity of operations, but it's not even anywhere close. There's been so many changes in the last 10 years with state and federal regulations and things like that is what's causing a lot of it. So
my worry is there's so much paperwork that it's really hard to really understand the basics of what needs to get done.
So I had some frustration with that. So I did a little bit of research on it. The emergency operation plan is basically a document we have in place that lets the state and federal government know that we take this seriously. We have thought about potential problems and our response to that, and that we understand the responsibilities and everything else, and we actually have a plan. And so it's really important. The reason why we have to have that is, I mean, it could directly affect whether or not we get reimbursement from state.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So the emergency operation plan is that document that's basically this big umbrella covering us. The other things that are involved, the appendix, the emergency operations center, organizational chart, those are all sub plans that we have to build, and that'll actually, so the emergency operation plan is not something we can just take to the field and use.
Yeah.
So we have to have other things attached to that, and those are the things that we'll train all of our county employees on.
We can make it simple.
Yeah, and I plan on, as part of that training, is bringing in other organizations that are going to be working with us during that. Fire districts, the police departments, both town administrations, because when we have something happen, I mean, it's kind of a all hands on deck situation. And all of those need to understand what their responsibilities are, how they are activated, where they go, what they do, and how they interact with everybody else.
Thank you.
Put on the first Firewise presentation there in Meeker. That was an interesting event. Worked on some mitigation stuff with BLM, and we are looking at not only the mitigation upriver, but we're also looking at some mitigation projects around some of our towers, making sure that there's enough buffer around them that if fire goes through there, the towers will not be taken out. So working on that.
And are you looping, is Liz in that or in that conversation at all? Is that
No.
appropriate?
No, because
Necessary.
it's not recovery.
Okay.
Now, so Liz is in the recovery portion of it, but not the mitigation of the.
Let's see here. I finished up my ICS training in Glenwood. ICS 300 was one of the requirements. I got that done. Didn't cost us anything other than fuel. I have ICS 400 coming up in Rifle here in a few weeks. That's the same one. Doesn't cost us anything. It'll just be fuel for driving there.
How far does that go? Does that go to 800?
I have 800 already. I have the only two that I was missing, there was a requirement, were 300 and 400, and I'll have those done here real quick.
Good.
Let's see. I've started working up in-depth safety plan for the upcoming election stuff. I sent Antina emergency response plan and an evacuation plan for both the fairgrounds. It's a draft plan. It's pretty good, but we have a few holes to plug in it. But for a solid first start document, it's really pretty good, and it lays it out pretty well. That I think I also include in there a sample letter that we would give people that are going to be having events at the fairgrounds, basically saying if somebody from the sheriff's office or from the county comes to them and say, hey, we are shutting this event down, you need to evacuate right now. they have to evacuate, they have to sign off on this letter prior to being able to book, the event there. Started doing some research on your Safe Streets for All grant stuff. I think we could probably benefit from that, especially the first part with the safety plan. But we have some mitigation stuff on some county roads that we could address with that as well. And then we definitely have some stuff that we could work in cooperation with CDOT to try to do
That
that.
would be the biggest one, yeah.
And so I'm putting that together. I'll probably have something in a week or two for you on that one.
And I didn't communicate with him on that, so that is on me. Safe Streets for All. Maybe we need to take another look at it, but I thought it's just planning grants, right?
So
Or rollover.
there's grants for safety plan. That's where everybody starts first with the safety plan. And then there's grants after that for actual action items.
Mhm. Yeah. That's, I was thinking there was action item. You have to have the safety plan in
You have to have
place
the
and they
safety
will
plan
fund
first.
that.
Yep.
But you have to have that before you can get funding for the other pieces.
Yeah, and you can get grant funding to build the safety
Yes.
plan.
Yes. So
We'll take a look at that.
I would encourage you to get with AGNC, the grant writer for that. And because she is up on this stuff and she can help a lot.
Laura Lee is her name.
Okay.
And they'll help write the grant.
Yeah, that they are a huge benefit in this. They do a lot.
I will definitely make a point of doing that. I mean, it doesn't hurt to look at some of this and try to address some of these. And if we can get grant funding to help mitigate this. This county is very big and it's very remote in a lot of areas. And we have safety concerns for people here. It's not unheard of for somebody to get into a crash and lay there for hours and hours and nobody see them or know that they're in an accident or anything else. And anything we can do to try to help mitigate that would be fantastic.
So if this grant fits, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too, but it just never hurts to double check.
Does
Or
not.
just to see if there's options. And if you get connected with her, she'll watch for other things. You tell her what you need and she will watch for those opportunities for you.
Definitely.
Is she the one that, does she do all of our grant stuff for us?
She works for AGNC, so doesn't do grants specifically for us, but any of the counties that are members of AGNC or towns or whatever.
We are a
member.
member, and so she will do a grant for us.
Fantastic. And is that across the board, any government, like FEMA grants or?
Talk to her.
I will, I'll give her.
Yep, there you
And
go.
where's she out of?
Probably Grand Junction or Rifle somewhere.
Grand Junction?
Yeah, they work from home, I think.
But the office is in Rifle. So they live all over the place.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like a point of contact I definitely need to make. Let's see here. Boom. Been out with the National Weather Service yesterday and have again tomorrow for a tour of some of the burn areas in the Lee fire. They're basically really interested in flood and runoff damage and stuff like that. Took them out yesterday, went up into Little Hills and showed them. They were supremely surprised how much material gets moved quickly. And I just don't think they had a concept of how big a rocks can get moved and
So
and
who
how
was
big a
that?
pond. I'm sorry.
Who was that? That went with-
National Weather Service out
Oh,
of Grand
okay.
Junction.
Okay.
And I think they're really curious about how their not only their predictions, but their warning systems and stuff like that really impact us. So the thing that really, the conversation I had yesterday with them was the Lee fire especially, their great grandchildren will be able to come up here and see the after effects of that fire. It will be a major event geologically for this area. But I said afterwards, the combination of rain and the runoff, I said, you have no idea how much material moves quickly and can really reshape things. And they got out there, they saw these ponds that were just completely topped over, you know, and I just don't think they really had a grasp of how much water can it really impact this area, because there's just not a lot to hold it here
Very.
anyway.
We had that, if we had that kind of water all the time, we would be as flat as Kansas.
Because all they ran it away.
Or we'd look like the Grand Canyon. Yep. So, that was a interesting, I think tomorrow will be even more interesting. We only had time to get up into Little Hills and look at that, and that's a great snapshot, but, when they get up on top and just see the miles and miles of devastation, I think, that will be an extremely moving experience for them.
Can I just segue in there a little bit? So Callie had asked the question, BLM also has sensors up there, in the burn scar area. In my conversation that I had previously with Bob Brashears from the regional office, one of the things that they want to study is that, Rio Blanco was not covered by National Weather Service radio. Unlike BLM sensors, which will eventually probably go away at some point, they may not renew those. The National Weather Service, those radios will be permanent fixtures. It is old technology, but it is the gold standard technology. Yes, cell phones work great, but these radios were established before cell phones. It will specifically give us that data that says in this area, there is 2 inches of rain, get to high ground. It will be very targeted information. And part of that is the Grand Junction office hasn't actually studied the runoff or the impact of fires, what a fire can do for that area. And so that was one of those things where they said, we really need to understand this a little more. So I think that we are still hopeful that we'll get those radios up and rolling. They promised by December 31st, but they're shooting for earlier than that. So hopefully we'll be pleasantly surprised as that process moves forward.
So at Club 20, I don't know if this is the same thing we're talking about, and I'm hoping Reese is still on. Club 20 last weekend, XL showed us a video of the Lee fire and how, because they have 3 cameras in Rio Blanco, and it showed the actual fire and burned up this camera. You watched the fire come to it, and I would like to get a copy of it to show us. It was fascinating. But then Reese was talking to me about some new technology that would be able to tell us, like, if there's a lightning strike and a fire starts, like, it can tell us, and I don't know if it's a camera or what it is. Reese, are you still on? He's gone. No. Okay. And I think he said was either going to get with you or already got with you about this new technology that he learned about in some other meeting that he was at, that would kind of gather. So if this lightning strikes, then it would be able to tell us, like, is it spreading? How fast is it spreading? It would be able to hone in on some of that information and give us that data. I don't remember the name of the product, but if you could get with Reese, he said that was another data point and it's new and up and coming. So he's kind of wondering if maybe
Satellite.
It's gotta be off satellite.
Yeah.
And it's gotta be off
Imaging.
infrared heat.
Mhm.
the extra.
Same thing they were doing with the airplane. They just moved it to the satellite.
Yeah.
And Reese did get the XL guy, the XL gentleman that was doing the presentation. So I need to get with Reese so that I can send that guy an email and see if we can't get
that video.
that video. It was very
Really
fascinating. The fire was still pretty far away and it melted that camera, whatever.
And that was a camera that was up in the Lee fire.
Mhm.
I could reach out to Excel, see if I
Yeah.
can get that.
I think it was fascinating to watch. They played it like several times during this presentation, and it was scary to say the least. But yeah, you or Reese could get that.
People don't realize how fast these fires can move. They start off, a lightning strike fire can sit there and just kind of smolder for a week longer, but then it gets a little bit of wind and you can't run fast enough to get away from it. So, the earlier we can get a jump on these, the better. And in this remote county, we have vast swaths of this county that are not observable from any road.
Mhm.
And even if it was, we have roads here that people don't drive for a week, you know, and if maybe even longer. So that would be great technology.
So I guess what I'm hearing is, there must, so BLM's got their sensors, if the weather service gets their sensors, if Excel has sensors, and I'm sure, I mean, you're the guy that's gonna know and coordinate all of that stuff and know where they're at and how
Well,
they work
the
together.
system, it
Cool.
sounds like she's talking about is a satellite.
Right.
If it's a satellite, it picks up like a heat signature from that. I mean, it will give you a GPS coordinate and let you know exactly where it's at.
Yeah. But just with these sensors that you're talking about and stuff too, just knowing what's where, I know is information is power, right?
Yeah, and
Good.
truthfully, we're at an age now that, there's no reason why we can't do more and be better. The National Weather Service stuff, these emergency radios, all these things, just everything together, is going to help us. And then, of course, that helps us out with, we do have these big events when it comes time to start thinking about evacuation and stuff like that. The sooner we know, the better informed we are, and we can get a jump on it quicker and hopefully mitigate some of the effects people have from it.
Thanks.
I'm looking through my list here. I think we pretty much touched most of the stuff, except for one thing. The billing packets for our all the road and bridge stuff that we submitted have gone to the coder, which I guess is like a super really good thing. So they're thinking we're going to get reimbursed, and I have the number here. $143,498.63 from the state. So I don't have a time frame for that or anything else. Any insight on that, Vicky, that you're aware of?
It can be a while. So,
Yeah.
but the biggest part is the review process that takes the longest time. So I don't know how long that is when it gets to the coder.
Yep.
But that was Doug Cup was the one that put all those billing packets. Doug and Shelley were the ones that put that billing packet together. So that will be reimbursement for road and bridge use of equipment, personnel, overtime, through that whole process. So, and one last thing, I want to just touch base. I thought Rich did an excellent job at the fire meeting.
Mhm.
I don't know if you heard him or not, but it was
Exactly.
phenomenal. Did a great job. And Lynn and Chrissy, especially Lynn, for putting that together, getting the right people in the room. It was a phenomenal event. So, and we'll be doing that again in Rangeley.
May 14th at the hospital.
May 14th at the hospital. So I just encourage everyone to attend that if you can. Great information that went out. So
Yeah, I've gotten one call already, and I predict I'm going to start getting others. The call I got recently, and she just literally burned my phone up, was from Gayla Bell here in Rangeley about BLM mitigating stuff there. So I got her in touch. BLM got back in touch with her, and they're going to try to work through that. So I know without a doubt that I'm going to have others here.
Yeah.
Due to the amount that, I mean, we just have just a sheer amount of BLM butting right up against private residences and things like that. So I have no doubt we'll deal with that more. So
Exactly. Okay,
any
Anything
questions
else?
from the board?
No,
Thank you. lots happening. We appreciate it.
Yeah, May is shaping up to be an extremely busy month already too. So more the merrier.
Okay.
thanks, Rich.
So thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so we do have an executive session scheduled for 11 o'clock. Just checking to see if we have the other attorney online yet, just see if we're, okay. So, yes, I would just ask commissioners, do we need to take a break before we stop to do an executive session, or do you want to do somebody's update real quick? Because that's where we are, is other business of commissioner updates.
I know I need to take a break.
Okay. I'm sorry, what's that, Chrissy?
There, he might be on the other meeting, because I.
Oh, for the executive session
for the
piece.
executive
Okay.
session. You want me to hop on there and look and see for you?
You might, and just tell him that we will be there shortly after 11. Okay, and just to hang tight there if he could. So I would entertain a motion to recess. Is there any chance we can do recess and go into executive session at the same time?
Wait, are you changing rooms again? How do you
We
guys work?
can't, we don't have any place to go, so we're just gonna have to ask other people to leave while we are in executive session.
Okay, so if you want to recess, I would just do a quick recess and then come back in and do your motions.
Actually, that'll be perfect. Okay, so a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I move to recess the OCC meeting at 10:56.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second to recess our meeting. Could you please call the roll? Overton,
All right.
O'Hairn.
Aye.
Scritchfield. Aye. All righty. On recess we are, and we will be back right about 11 o'clock. Did you stop this? Rose, do you expect, would we be roughly 15, 20 minutes, do you think? Do you think we'll be very long in this executive session?
I think it just depends on how many questions you all have. So basically you all dictate. I know you had some questions that needed to be answered. I know that Ed had one piece of direction he needed from you all, but it basically just depends on how detailed you all want to get and how many questions you have. So I can't expect it to take more than 20 minutes, but again, that's up to the board.
We'll say 20 to 30 minutes at the most.
If you guys do, I need to move you into executive session on the YouTube.
Yes. We'll need to turn that off.
Yeah, let's go to the.
Okay,
But not
so
until.
I say not
ready.
until we actually
Yeah.
move to go into executive
Are you
session.
out of break now?
We will be shortly.
Just a second. So I'm caught up.
Everybody's back in the room. Okay, if we could have a motion to come back into our meeting, please.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to resume the county commissioners meeting.
I second.
Motion and second to resume our meeting. So if we could have a motion and or I'm sorry, if we could have roll call.
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
O'Hare.
Aye.
All righty. So with that being said, if we could, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Doing the number 4, correct?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I move to enter into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024B for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions related to eviction litigation matters.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to go into executive session. If you would call the roll, please.
Scritchfield.
Aye.
Overton.
Aye.
O'Hare.
Okay, and Rose, I need to do announcement number 1. Is that right?
Yes.
So it is April 28th. The time is 11:03. For the record, my name is Callie Scritchfield. I am the presiding officer. As required by the Open Meetings Law, this executive session is being electronically recorded. Also present at this executive session are the following persons. So it would be Commissioner O'Haran, myself, Callie Scritchfield, Commissioner Doug Overton, Attorney Rose Puglisi. Rose, I guess we got to wait till we come in to get the other attorney, right?
Yeah, is he on? Or
Not on-
He's on a separate meeting.
Yes, we'll have to go to the different
okay.
meeting for that. And then Vicky could either come or go.
Whatever
have
you
lunch.
prefer.
I
I don't think I'd have time for lunch, but
Okay,
I think we were just gonna
okay.
run to the.
So let's say Vicky, Edwards. Thank you. All righty. So that would be our people in attendance. I caution each participant to confine all discussion to the stated purpose of the executive session, and then no formal action may occur in the executive session. If at any point the executive session may, any participant believes that the discussion is going outside of the proper scope of the executive session, please interrupt the discussion and make an objection. This is an executive session for the following purpose, which is CRS 24-6402, 4B, conference with attorney for the board for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal matters.
It's I think it's eviction litigation.
Okay, so eviction litigation specific.
Yes.
Okay. All righty. So with that, we need to switch over to our other meeting. Does Rose have that information as well? The link for that?
Invited.
Okay, so you guys are.
We can exit off of the YouTube.
It keeps switching itself back, Chrissy. I am trying to transition YouTube to put it